This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, this is Professor Olson taking a look taking a look at your package designs, identity package for Friday. First up, we've got Justin. Justin, Big Easy Cookies. I really like where your logo came out. I think the icon is great, unique, interesting. One thing I would say is your logo type is way too small, and I would focus on Big Easy being really big, and then cookies could be smaller. But in proportion, your icon to logo type is off. So take a look at, for instance, the Full Sail logo and try to work toward those proportions. Overall, your identity package is well designed, good craftsmanship, good job overall. A couple of things I think could improve it a little bit. First of all, your color palette, you've got a really, really dark brown and a really, really dark purple. They're almost black. I would brighten those up a little bit more so they look a little less like black. Um, I think this brown color is kind of like a craft paper look, but I would encourage you to look at a color with this purple that's more, push it a little more toward yellow to make it more golden. And you might really like the way that works with this purple color. So try that. I think using the leaf element behind there, it kind of dirties it up a little bit. It's okay, but I do like the branding of the color, overall, the way you're using it. Um, it just feels like since this product is kind of indulgent and fun, it feels pretty serious at the moment. So consider that. I think you're in good shape, but keep going. Next up, Heath, Stonehaven. So your logo, I understand you sort of ended up here. Uh, this is well designed, it's functional, it's neat. The brand isn't particularly exciting the way you've executed it. So if you have other textures or elements you could add to this, it might help. Right now you've got a 2-color palette. See if you can introduce some more colors or textures, patterns, things like that to give it a little more branding. Right now it's letter looks good, everything looks neat, it's good craftsmanship, but I would push you to try to brand it a little deeper. Bogaga, you are doing Ionis Treats. Uh, so your logo lockup, it's really hard to read over this pattern. The pattern itself isn't bad. Here, you actually squished it, and this looks wrong when you squish it like that. You've got to scale the pattern down and make it less contrast. So pick a color for the background that's closer to what the pattern is so that things can be in front of it without interfering. Right now, it looks very, very busy and very hard to read. And that goes for the business cards as well. So it looks like you've got a sort of tint, or maybe change the opacity of the green, and then here it is solid. Don't change opacities, that gets really confusing. Try to use colors solid, and that way you can use them consistently very easily. Otherwise you're guessing what the opacity, because it's different here and here and here. So try to consolidate it. I think your logo's okay. It's really hard to read the type. So I would make the type bigger compared to the icon. William Green Mountain, I like your concept here. The logo is a bit complex. You have this circle behind it, and I don't think the circle is necessary. I think it creates an additional element that just sort of interferes, adds busyness that's unnecessary. Consider how you set this up so that it doesn't need the circle. Because you've got like you've got the mountain, you've got a box here with Green Mountain in it, you've got the type, you've got this, it's just too many elements. So see how you can simplify that. Perhaps you don't need the box around Green Mountain, and you definitely don't need the circle. Without those things, I think it would simplify it, make it easier to work with. Now, texture, patterns, you could take these trees and create a pattern out of them, maybe fill that strip. Instead of just geometric shapes with swatches of color, you could add a little more interest to this. You know, you've got some good elements to work with there. So perhaps the mountain range comes in tall at the bottom. Excuse me. So take a look and see what you can do there. It doesn't look like you're using the template. So I hope yeah, trouble with the template. All right. So if you need extra help, let me know and I'll get on with you. All right, Destiny, you are doing Barbarella's Twisted Snacks. You've got the butterfly pretzel, which is good. I think your type could be a little stronger so you could see it a little better. But you want to have your logo lockup appear here on the letterhead and appear somewhere on one of the business cards. Right now, there's no logo type, so it's just an icon. Over here, the logo type's on the side. It's different positions. You want to like get some consistency through all this. And then you put a border around the letterhead. That seems particularly mundane considering this product and that it's a little bit psychedelic and fun and playful. The envelope's okay, but see what else you could do to sort of boost the creativity there. All right, so Professor Penna's class, we start off with Bailey. Swing set snacks, this was challenging. You've got a rainbow going through the sky. Your logo ended up being pieces of popcorn in a shape here. I don't know that you need the shape. Can you just do a fill with the popcorn, ditch the shapes, simplify that a bit? And doing type in a rainbow color is really problematic. Obviously the yellow sort of disappears. So I would just keep that a solid color. Maybe use your violet color that you've been assigned. The rainbow going through the blue sky, this is a good idea. I'm wondering if you can do this in a little more interesting way, so it's a little less sort of geometric. And right now the rainbow is like so powerful, it just sort of overwhelms everything else. So I think you've got a good foundation. I would encourage you to push it a little further. Crystal, this is a repost of Tortuga jelly beans. I think you did some changes to it. It looks like this is a little finer pattern. Yeah, this is looking good. I'm not a big fan of the border, but it's not bad. This type feels a little large. Maybe give it a little more white space, sort of shrink it down a bit. All right, Carmen, this is Maritime Soap. Is that right? Yeah, your logo type is really hard to read. Your icon is really big and sort of overwhelming here, so I would maybe consider cutting out some of these waves, just creating the sort of square version of this and make the type much bigger. That would help you. The bubbles are fun. That's a good branding element. This gray is the default color that comes with the envelope, so consider making that a real color. You could use your ghosted bubble pattern behind here, perhaps. Maybe throw a few bubbles kind of coming in from the bottom here too. And add return address, you need to have that. Overall, it's pretty good. All right, next up, Richard. Tupe Mate T. Probably had the word T small underneath. So your envelope looks okay. The color palette's really strong. And I think it works all right. I feel like this is a little stark. You don't have the return address. This doesn't really look like a letter. Take a look at the others, what they've done with the letter. And then can you add another element that gives some color, some branding to this? But I like your logo design is okay, and the color palette is starting to get there. Maybe figure out another color that you can add in. All right, Carrie Ann, you're doing mint soap. this feels good. It's got some branding. It's got branded elements. It's got a good color palette, good use of color. Overall, I think that's working well. You could maybe add a little detail to this bubble element if you make a little highlight on them or something that might help. But you know, overall, you're on solid foundation. Kevin, Atomic Cookies. The cream color kind of pulls everything together nicely. I would continue that here in this gray part down here as well. It's supposed to be sort of a little 50s kind of brand. Looks like you got like competing logos here. So I'm not sure what that element is, but I do like your logo. The type in this letterhead is way too big. You can make it smaller, give us more space. And then these rules are kind of a default item. Like I would think, what could you do that's a little more interesting than that? If you look at, you know, the realm you're in, look at Mars Attacks, you know, take a look at some stills from that movie. See if you can come up with a more interesting thing than just a rule around things to tie it all together. If you use a typeface for your logo type, don't use it elsewhere. Just use a regular font here. But there's some good creativity there. All right, Alexis, Black Sea Chocolate. You ended up with a chocolate bar. The type is almost illegible. I would definitely reverse the emphasis there. Black Sea, really big, chocolate, and then the icon can be much smaller. Again, look at your Full Sail logo. How does that work? This dark red color, you can, I would ditch that. It doesn't look like an appropriate paper color. Add some additional colors. You're very monochromatic right now. You can bring in some other colors to try to enhance this brand. Don't leave this the default gray. And I think you got a little more work to do. Also, the screenshot, hopefully you know how to use your template in InDesign. All right, Billy, Saffron Cookies. All right, so this, the color palette is cool. This looks like the little saffron sprigs, perhaps. The big block swatches of colors feel a little like phoning it in, so could you do something more interesting with that? This is supposed to have like a Himalayan feeling to it, so right now it doesn't really have any of that. The design's very neat and clean, but the branding feels a little weak at this moment. So see what you can do to enhance that. Caitlin, you've got Stone Soup. Your logo, because all the colors used there are very dark values, there's not enough contrast, and I can't read the type. Type should be big. Again, if we go to this assignment, and you look at the in the 5.0 assignment, preview. I'm going back to show you the structure of your logo. So in the 5.0 assignment, this is a structure. This is proportion, icon, logo type, icon, logo type. Do this kind of setup, keep the proportions close to this, and it'll be good. It'll work. So right now, the double circle around this is unnecessary. The type should be bigger. You've got, I can't really see what your icon is because not enough contrast there, but see what you can do with that. Now this is like a homey, homemade hearth family soup. So what could you do to add some more branding here? Could the paper be a nice stone color, a light color? Could you use some warm colors and make it feel more home? You want to make it like homemade soup, and right now it feels almost a little techy or something. So see what you can do to bring some of that branding in. All right, Brandy, Cactus Cookies, your logo icon is okay, it's good. It's very legible. this is put together correctly and has all the correct elements, but the branding is almost non-existent. All you have is your logo. How else could you brand this? How else, what colors, palettes, texture could you add to this to give it a little more branding? Yeah, instead of a white background, maybe use like a very light yellow paper color. Warm it up a little bit. All right, that's all we've got now. I hope you got a critique, and I look forward to seeing your final work.